Jason Demers joining us for his weekly appearance on the show, fresh off Coast to Coast Hockey on Amazon, where you asked a tremendous Big J journalist question to Leon Draisaitl. And in honor of that, I've been drinking this beer that I stirred with a spoon all show.
Oh, that is egregious to see you doing that right now. But I love that you're drinking a beer on the job. That's fantastic.
Well, I'll show him the can. We have our own beer. It's Nation Beer Everyday Lager.
Oh, that's awesome. And I love that little plug. After the shellacking they took last game, I know you guys needed it.
Well, it was a 9th preseason game. Game 1 is on Saturday.
That's exactly it. That's exactly right.
When you come to Edmonton next, Nation Beer's on us, Jason. But we're excited to have you back for the season here, doing your weekly hits with us. Let's start with Coast to Coast. I thought, first off, you were excellent. I liked seeing my boy Frank on the show. How did you think the first night went?
Yeah, it was good. It was, it was a little chaotic, but it was fun. I hope the fans liked it. And, I feel like the fact that it's going out to Canada, it's so important because, Canadian fans are hockey and they're so important. And, they live and breathe this sport. So for us to kind of be able to give something back like that, a little red zone style, I think was great. Having Leon on, he was fantastic. So forthcoming with his time and, like having some fun with answering questions. And then, to show all the hockey, like I hope fans enjoyed that it's just nonstop hockey. It's a little bit like Red Zone and like NHL Tonight, a show I do here at the network. And yeah, I hope it's just, we keep tightening it up and making it better and better. So it's like something that fans in Canada look forward to on, you have the Monday night show now, and now this Thursday show is, I think it's something that, Canadian hockey fans deserve. So I hope they enjoyed it and we just kind of keep it rolling.
Yeah, excited to see where you guys take it throughout the year. I enjoyed it. I actually didn't feel like I had enough stimulation. So I had that. And then I had the baseball game, the Guardians game on a TV. And then on my laptop, I put Thursday Night Football. I just really wanted to mess up my brain.
There goes all your dopamine out. Just gone. I had a question for you though, like asking fans, would you like guys demoing stuff? Like if I were to go up to the board and start talking about a play that I saw earlier in the game and we really kind of break it down, is that something that you or fans would enjoy, or do they just kind of want to see, just show us hockey and leave it at that?
I do like when you do that on NHL Network, but in the context of the Red Zone show or like Coast to Coast, I just want goals. I want to see every goal as it happens kind of thing. And that's where I think I want the attention.
That's what I kind of think too, in terms of, when we were talking about the show, it was like, just show goals, hits, saves, power plays, and fans will enjoy that. And then they can watch anything else they want on the back end.
Let's talk about whatever the hell we had to sit through on Wednesday night with the Oilers opener. That was not good. We had Tyler Ennis on the show yesterday, and one of the conversations we had with him was skill teams early in the year against teams who their identity and they thrive on hard work. And is that maybe something where, hey, it's just always going to take the Oilers an extra little bit of time to get their puck touches in and feel like they're in sync skill-wise versus a team like Winnipeg who just wants to jam the puck down your throat, forecheck like crazy, and do all those hard-working things. Is there something to that? Have you experienced anything like that in your career, or are we just reaching?
No, I think, listen, I think they had such a long run last year, and if you really look at the day that the Stanley Cup Finals ended, it was late in the summer, middle of June, and that's really tough to kind of get your legs going. And obviously people can say, well, look at Florida Panthers and they won, but they're playing against Jonas Corposalo, and he's just okay. So and they lost last night to Ottawa. So I think they did this last year. I wouldn't be too worried about it. You got those top guys. The thing that worried me, and I tweeted about it jokingly about, hey, miss Cody Ceci yet, but that's a thin back end, and nothing against those guys, but they need something. Like I can't see these guys on the the bottom 3D really finding their game this season, or showing us something that we haven't already seen. Ty Emberson's the only one, the young guy, that we don't know quite what his game can turn into. But I don't think you can't ask a team that's got cup aspirations to lean on a D-man of his age and the limited amount of games he's had and also to be a stabilizer for Darnell. I think the big thing that was huge in the playoffs that people overlooked was the emergence of Broberg with Darnell and being able to stabilize Nursey at times and being that skating defenseman. So I don't know if I like that pairing, but I don't know where else you go with it. You can bring Troy Stetcher in, but those are just stopgaps until you actually go out and get a top four, because this team's going to need a top four. Because listen, when Skinner's on, he's on. And you talked about this too, but when he's off, he's off. We all know that. I think fans have come to terms with it. They take the good with the bad, because when he's playing his game, he's a stud. I just think those ups and downs this year, like they can't do what they did last year again. They can't go 2-9-1. Like those are very tough seasons on your body to get into the playoffs. And then also the way they got to the finals is hard. You can't sit and rely on a 16-game winning streak again to get you to the playoffs. And if you do get to the playoffs, which I think they will easily, I think whether it's wild card or they, win the division, but you can't ask these top guys, because it requires a lot of luck. Like it requires luck to get through the 16 games, to avoid injuries. Like hockey's a lucky sport as well. Like you got to be good, but everything has to fall in place. And a lot of stuff fell in place for the Oilers that you can't bank on that again. So I love their forward group. I think they'll find their way. They still generated chances. The power play was just a little bit, it was okay. But listen, you look at the Jets, like, yeah, the Jets are great early on in the season, but to me, like, I don't take that as like a big loss, because the Jets do this every year and then they lose in the first round or second round. So to me, like the Jets have a lot to prove, more to prove than the Oilers. But I just think if I'm in that locker room right now, I'm like, listen, guys, like, okay, game one's over. We got our asses kicked, but this can't happen like last year. Like we have to make sure that we're getting some points early, because there's other teams that are coming in the West, and you got to make sure that we're dialed in, because we don't want to be chasing the season again and somebody gets hurt, God forbid, Connor or Leon or one of these top guys, and then you're fucked. No pun intended.
There was some rumors going around yesterday, just talking about the blue line, that Shattenkirk and Giordano could be options. One, do you think those guys do you think those guys could come in and do anything for this team? Because right now it is kind of a rotation of Stetcher and Dermott, and Emberson I believe in, because like you said, he's just a young guy.
And you have to have patience with Emberson.
Totally.
But if you don't think Dermott's working, you can go elsewhere.
Yeah, you got to have patience with Emberson, but it's also like we're trying to win a cup. It's like patience is, my start of my career when I was 21, 22, playing on those San Jose Sharks teams, like I was playing, 12, 13 minutes a night, but like there was patience, but also if I had a bad game, I was in that locker room being like, we're trying to win a cup. And like, if you can't help us win a cup, I don't care how old you are, you're gone. You're going to go to the minors, or we'll find somebody else. So I feel like for Emberson, I just thought I liked the trade, but I'm also like, it's a lot of pressure to put on him. And can he handle it? I mean, you'll know early, but I mean, yeah, I like Giordano as your 5'6", maybe a 7, because like what else do you have? You have Stetcher, you got Brown and good guys and serviceable defensemen, but I don't think they're necessarily guys that will impact this team more than Shattenkirk. Or like Shattenkirk's proven he can slide in and create offense, and especially on this team, he's great at distributing the puck, and that forward group just needs D-man that can get these guys the puck so they don't have to play D-zone, and he's a guy that can do that. So I could see them looking, but I think they need to figure out a way cap-wise, whether you're trading Kaner or trading somebody up there, to go get a D-man. Like, I think they need to make another splash and go grab somebody. If you got to give up some blue-chip prospects, I think you got to do it. I think you got to win the cup, and this is kind of one of these teams that winning the cup in the next 3 years, even if you get a mortgage some of the future, I think is worth it. I think the fans deserve it. And it's like the time now with Connor and Leon. You locked up Leon, and you'll probably lock up Connor. I can't imagine them losing him, but both those guys are going to be making a lot of money. So if the cap doesn't raise at the level that they're signing, you're going to lose some guys. So now's kind of the time when you still have these guys at, decent deals, but I think they're gonna figure something out with Kaner, whether once he comes back he gets traded or, they trade somebody else, but there's going to be an odd man out. But I look at that decor and I just don't see it. It's early. It's one game. I'll have to keep watching and maybe they kind of figure something out. But you can't rely on Bouchard and Ekholm to play 35 minutes a night all season. Like you need some guys picking up the slack.
Yeah, I think part of the problem, like you talked about going out and making a trade, one, like blue chip prospects, they have pretty much none.
Yeah,
and the other thing too is October, November, like the trade market's not there. Like you're not in a position. There's a team who's willing to sell. And the other side of it is even some of the teams that I think will fall back to being sellers at some point, the Montreals, Anaheims, all them, they want to try to compete now. Like every team's still full of optimism right now. Like you're not going to see anyone shake loose till January, February.
Yeah, they're going to have to, and that's kind of the concern, is they're going to have to really find something that works on this back end to get them through those times and at least put them in a position to kind of, once they get that player that can strike. So, and then obviously, listen, some of the blame falls on Skinner. We know that some of those goals were not great, and chalk it up to, but we know his record when he loses. He bounces back when he gets shelled. And Calvin Pickett's proven that he's a good backup that can come in. So I think they'll get there. Like I'm not worried. I'm looking at the back end being like, this is not and knowing this brain trust of Bowman and they're looking at making a trade or figured something out. There's no way there's no way those guys looked at that decor and said, yeah, this is our cup winning decor. There's no chance.
No, well, I hope not.
I hope not.
Yeah, that would be mildly concerning. Last one I had for you was just on Raph Lavoie, the waiver drama with this guy, purely from a player's perspective. You got a feel for a dude who's been on waivers like 4 times in the last however long. Yeah, here's the breakdown from JD. Now he's going to the American League after all. Like that would just be a torturous 5-day span for him.
I know it sucks, and I feel for him. He's just in a tough spot. It's one of those things. Like I think he's at that age where he's got to kind of demand a trade to get out. I just don't know if he'll ever find a spot on this team. And if he does get a spot, it's not going to be one he wants. He's a great kid, works hard, works his bag off. He's got a lot of talent and got the possibility. He just needs the chance to play. And I even think like they don't really necessarily need somebody like him, unless maybe he'll replace Podzolkin, but yeah, like I think Noah Phillips probably the guy that comes up because it's a centerman, big centerman down the middle. So he's competing with him now, and yeah, I just think he's kind of there. That's kind of a trade piece for me. I think let him go play, and he's been a good soldier and really not complained and taking it on the chin. I think you got to kind of reward him. And Edmonton's always showed the ability to kind of take care of guys if you do right by them, which I think he has. So if I'm them, I'm sure they're exploring it. And if I'm him and his agent, I'm probably like, give me a chance to play. Like, give me 10 games or get rid of me and find a way to figure it out, because he's produced everywhere he's went. So you kind of got to give him a look.
I love lying about when it's my last question. Noah Philp, what a preseason ad. Didn't quite make the roster. I think he's up by Christmas, and once he's up, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I had a person, I know him very well personally after being at Bakersfield. And then I talked to him a lot when he kind of retired. And we spoke kind of because that was the year I retired. And we talked a lot about mental health and things like that and had a good discussion. He called me like, 3 weeks before he decided to start coming back and said he kind of found himself. And, he found the love for the game again, and he's such a great kid and a great player. Like when I was in Bakersfield, I was like, this kid's, if there's anybody that's NHL potential to be like a third liner consistently in the NHL, like a Radek Faxa type guy, this is the guy. And he's a horse, and he just kind of didn't love hockey anymore, and he had a tough time getting up for games and had a lot of anxiety. And mental health is tough. You got to speak up about it, and there's not enough outlets for athletes and things like that. And I was a product of that when I played. You know, I never talked about it and had a ton of performance anxiety, and it crippled me. And I still was managed 13 years, but you know, at times I probably caused injuries for myself because of it. So he made a great decision, taking a breath, and then he's come back kind of revitalized, and he's a great player. Like he's smart. I always said he's too fast. He's Luis Mendoza a little bit, where if you just slow down, he'd create even more chances for himself. And he's done that. I watched some of the preseason games and I was like, this is exactly the way he's got to play. And it won't take long, I don't think, till he's back. And once he gets back, you know, and I love Ryan and what he's done and his story, but you know, Noah Phillips kind of the future there, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Jason Demers, Coast to Coast on Amazon, NHL Network, San Jose Sharks broadcast this year as well. You are all over the place. You're big time now, but you still make time for us, and we appreciate it.
You're my favorite of all of them, so let's rock, baby.
All right. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.